Raznick, who we've had on the show before. But gosh, we have so many things to ask him today because he just announced last Monday that he has sold a hefty portion of his company. And I think the number was, you valued it at $300 million or something in that ballpark. It's the Canadian company. Pronounce that name for me. Is it Behringer?
Behringer.
Yeah,
Behringer.
okay. That's what I thought it was. Okay.
Yep.
And so you can see he's in his posh office right now with the gold fixtures everywhere. So I'm just kidding. The thing that intrigued me in your announcement, you said we're just in the second inning. So that's the part that I want to bore into. You know, what is coming next, Jason?
Well, so I think this is Jeff Bezos' line, but a day one approach. Every day you start new and you say, hey, what you did yesterday may not be what you're going to do today. This transaction is obviously rewarding for all the investors, most team members, myself. And when I say inning 2, chapter 2, there's a lot of things that we don't do that we believe we should do. Go deeper in verticals, like with data and software. We have this thing called Benzinga Pro, which is pretty good. We think it can be way better. There's stuff with our events that we think can be way better. We think we can do a much better job at helping smaller companies reach the public investors. I mean, we all know about Facebook, Googles of the world, but you don't know about that upstart. You don't know if it's high quality or not. So can we do a better job to get the word out about those kind of companies? Those are things that, are in our pipeline. And then improving product, improving experience, helping people make decisions with better data and information.
Matthew?
All right. So tell us a little bit about how this transaction got started. How did you hear about them? How did they hear about you? I'm always interested in stuff like that when it comes to merger and acquisition activity. How did it get started?
Well, so good question. In fact, it didn't start with them. We had, about 2 years ago, we received an unsolicited offer on the company, and I didn't think the time was right. And then about 10 months ago, we received another unsolicited offer. This one was a lot more serious, a lot higher numbers, and they own some properties in our space. And we looked at it, we considered it. Before doing anything, we hired a banker. The banker helped us organize ourselves, put things together. A lot of things that I just wouldn't know how to do, the banker did. The banker went out to the market. By going out to the market, we end up receiving a lot of it, like a lot of preliminary offers, I would say. I mean, over 12 preliminary offers. Wow. And then over 12. And then what happens is, Matthew, you narrow it down. And so we narrowed it down to Behringer and then 3 others. One was, we had an offer, I can say it now, we had an offer to go to a SPAC. Like we could have SPAC'd our company, taken it public. So that was a real legit thing that looked at in the beginning and then opted not to. There's a lot of cost per year with being public and just didn't think it was the right time. So then we narrowed it down to 4 companies. A couple of the companies you definitely, or at least one of the companies you definitely know, guaranteed. But I can't say it because we signed like an NDA as much as I'd want to say it right now, but whatever.
Who would we tell? Come on, who would we tell? So
it's just us kids here. Come on now.
I know that's what I would think, but when I logged into your video streaming thing, it said you're recording.
That's true.
Yeah.
You caught me. All right, I'm busted.
There is a permanent record here. Yes, right.
And so Matt, once it was narrowed down to this final bidder, that process takes some time. I mean, it's the due diligence phase. I've never been through it like this. I mean, they literally do everything. I mean, they hire tons of firms and tons of data due diligence on company. And
so did you talk to people you went to high school with or something, or what?
Basically, yeah. I mean, they didn't go as far as maybe high school, but I mean, they survey thousands and thousands of people for real. And there's a real legit companies that are doing this stuff. They're going through data, troves of data. I mean, it's the numbers in terms of valuation. They didn't purchase the entire company. So I can guess I'll go into a little more of the deal. They didn't purchase the entire company, but they purchased a majority of the company. And so, they put cash down now. And then there's some, success things, but the investors in Benzinga, who some have been in for 9 years, knock on wood, did fairly well or did very well. And many of the team members got to participate as well.
So I know Dan Gilbert was one of your early big players. So Dan didn't get hurt on this deal, right?
No. It was cool being able to give Dan a check. I brought him his check. I brought him like one of those life-size checks. So yeah, I feel like Dan's giving checks out a lot. I feel like
that's true. He is.
Yeah, and so it was cool. It was cool bringing him a check.
Yeah. Now you don't have VCs or angels involved. I never asked you that question before because I thought you just sort of organically grew after Gilbert helped you get started. But am I wrong?
No. Yeah, a little off. So I do believe, sweat equity and just, so I started by myself. I had $3,000 in a bank account. I built the first site for $1,450. I was in my basement, tons of anxiety, waking up at 3 a.m, my anxiousness, heart beating outside my body. I don't know. I'm being
Welcome
serious.
to the world of entrepreneurship. Yes,
yeah,
go ahead.
Great. Yep.
Whatever you guys imagine that anxiety is, it was that times 100. And so if I didn't get help or people to talk to, then, I feel lucky to be here, to be honest, because I had a 3-month-old at home. I didn't know if I'd be able to pay the bills. And my wife's like, Jason, relax. If worse comes to worse, we'll move in with her parents. And I'm like, but to be honest, it calmed me down for a second. But then I'm like, wait, not.
Oh no. Yes. Right.
Yeah,
my in-laws? I don't think so.
Yeah. Like I went to like the undergrad B school at University of Michigan, and I was like, my friends were like Goldman, and I'm here doing this startup thing, and I'm making, so I don't know. So the long story short, about I don't know how many months after it started, Mike, Lightbank, who was started by Brad Keywell and Eric Lipkowski, they were the original investors. So they put in $1.5 million in the original round. They, in terms of investors, they made a lot of money, a lot, significant. So they put the $1.5 million in right when we started, like 6 months, 7 months after we started, and they got a big check, like probably one of the bigger, returns of their entire portfolio. And they were the guys who invested in, they're behind Groupon, they're behind a bunch of things, and this is probably one of their biggest returns.
Wow. I don't assume. Well, I know this. It's a private deal, private company, but you're still a pretty hefty minority interest holder, are you not?
Yeah, I mean, I'm still definitely incentivized for growth, and so are team members. Like other team members, not just me. Crane's had an article in the paper today, and there's Luke Jacoby was mentioned. There's other team members, but yeah, we're incentivized to grow it. There was a few different options on the table. I mean, Matt asked how this deal came about. We could have potentially sold to this other media company, and we would have got the cash, but we wouldn't necessarily been incentivized for growth. We wanted to continue to build. We thought what we built, we did fine, but we thought we could do some cooler stuff, build some great stuff. So we're incentivized to grow it for sure. I mean, it's a different thing. I call it second inning or chapter 2, because we really need to bring in some, new technology brains. We need to get some help in different areas in the event side. But just like what you guys do and pivot and start your podcast, your video streaming network, there's different things, different anxieties, different times, and we're incentivized to grow it. And we want to do a good job for the PE firm, Behringer. Behringer also has done if you ever heard of Adweek, they bought that and made it into something pretty big. They own Inman Real Estate News. They own a big affiliate website business. So they're in the digital space for a decent amount of time. They've been in it.
And can you share some of the things you'd like to do? Or are you still developing that, or do you feel that would be giving too much away? Or
it's making things easier to use. It's giving better data. When you're reading a piece of content on Facebook stock and earnings preview, what's better data? How can you help an investor really figure out things in a simpler format? It's making your things available on mobile. It's letting you see all your stuff in one place. It's at the end of the day, there's a lot of distractions. And we believe if we can, give information that's easier to consume, the who, what, where, why, we think we can do a good job for investors. We're one of the biggest vendors of financial news to the North American brokerage space. So if you're using Robinhood to Ameritrade, you're seeing Benzinga. We're out in Detroit, and we're broadcast nationwide. I mean, one of the big things, Mike, I would say is we're trying to go global. So the UK, Asia, we have people there, but not in the capacity that we need to have. So that's a big push. When I started Benzinga, guys, I was getting up around 4:30 in the morning and going to bed at midnight. It was just me, myself, and I had people helping me overseas. But now it's a different time zone thing. So we're trying to really expand our method of content to other countries to help people make better decisions in the stock market.
Well, it sounds as though you could have, just sold the company and walked away, but that's not what you wanted to do. It sounds like you still have a lot of plans for this company, which I think is interesting.
Yeah, well, Matt, I mean, the when a buyer's buying, they want to see that you're still committed, I would say. But yeah, there was some offers where we would go inside another media company and walk away, and they'll not necessarily walk away. They would want you to stay because the know-how. But I think life is short, and if you could build and solve problems for people and make information easier to consume in the investment space, I think you have a responsibility to do it. I may have a better idea to sell clothes online, but I think you have a responsibility to use your knowledge and what you built up to take it to the level that it needs to get to before saying hey, that's enough.
All right, we got about a minute left. Of course, Matt and I know what Benzinga is real well. This is your chance to do your shameless plug so you can recruit more people to your terminal. So go ahead, fire away.
Well, Matt and Mike are the best. Go to MITechNews.com for sure first. That is my shameless plug. And go check it out on Facebook, MITech News. Mike and Matt have been doing it for so long. I used to listen to Matt on the radio and those brief things. I was like, I want to meet this Matt Roush. I want to meet him so bad. I remember this yesterday, same thing with Mike. But Benzinga, we have a thing called Benzinga Pro. We also have newsletters. If you go to Benzinga, BENZINGA.com, you can sign up for some of our free newsletters. My email is jason@benzinga.com. Let me know things you don't like about Benzinga, things we can improve, things that you wish just existed in the investing world. Maybe we'll build it for you. You can also find me on Twitter at Jason Raznick, RAZNICK. And what I want to say is, for any aspiring entrepreneur listening to this, the road isn't easy, as Mike and Matt alluded to. You see the CNBC interview, the celebrations, but behind that is excruciating anxiety, trying to build stuff. And, one thing to think about is this line that this too shall pass. So when things aren't going your way, this too shall pass, move on, build a new experiment and see what happens. But it was an exciting whirlwind week that I haven't had in my entire life. Never seen anything like it with the amount of messages, probably over 1,000. I'm still responding back to LinkedIn messages right now before this interview. So just thank you for everyone's out there. No, it's not easy. We appreciate your support. And in Detroit, this is where we started. And you guys have known us from way back. And Mike, you've had me on the show many a time. So I appreciate you and Matt.